Today's episode is brought to you by our friends at BeFun Technology. Their mission, your vision, our solution. You'll get a team of dedicated professionals who care about your vision. BeFun Technology provides organizations of all sizes with the best, most trustworthy IT solutions in this ever-evolving technology market.
Good day, listeners. It's your man, Dame DNYDC, host of the Two Mics Up podcast. Back again today with another amazing episode. Joined, as always, with the queen of the show, my co-host, Elisa Middleton. Elise, what's happening with you today, sis? What's going on?
Hey, bro. Hey, listeners. I'm good. I'm excited for today's show. I have one of my favorite people in the world on, my brother, my lifetime brother from another mother, Joseph Mcrae. And I'm excited for the show. I'm excited for our listeners because, you know, as in Black community, we need healing and we need to come together. So I'm ready to go.
See, yeah, you touched on it. You know, the gentleman, this brother that's joining us today. I'm hoping that, you know, the goal of this really is like you said, to really get to some healing. You know, our guest is coming from a place and space within the Black community that we don't really talk about enough. We don't want to have these type of conversations. And I'm glad that he's able to take some time out of his busy schedule to join us today on our podcast to kind of create this platform. And, you know, I want to use this to, again, come back, you know, down the road and do this a couple of more times with some panels and different things. But before we get to that, you know, I'm going to allow this king to go ahead and introduce himself, you know, who he is, what he's about, and what he's doing to our listeners. So, Joe, could you go ahead and take a few minutes and introduce yourself to our listeners?
Sure. Hey, everybody. My name is Joseph Mcrae. Some of you may know me if you listen to podcasts because you may have heard my podcast called The Mcrae Kingz, which I do with my husband. Or you may have watched us on YouTube because we have a show on YouTube called Coffee with the Kingz. And we come on every weekday morning at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Basically, what our podcast is completely different than our YouTube channel. The podcast is more raw, per se, as we more or less say what we want on the podcast. And with YouTube, you know, there's certain restrictions that we have to follow, but our YouTube still is raw. We like to give out positive and informative energy to help people. And it's crazy because every time we felt like we wanted to stop, somebody will come and tell us that we helped them get through chemo. We helped them get through certain things they were going through because they took our advice and applied it to their life. Because what we like to tell people is we don't talk from a place of book knowledge. We talk from a place of it happened to us knowledge. So we try to give people the tools that we use in certain situations to get ourselves out or to better ourselves. And that seems to work for a lot of people. We had one particular person who she really moved us because she was literally on the verge of suicide. And she happened upon our YouTube page, and day by day she watched us, and day by day she watched us. And right now she's a completely different person because she of course says it's because of me and Tremel, that's my husband's name, why she, you know, was able to persevere and go on, and all her anxiety and things like that are all gone, which of course makes us feel amazing that the job we're setting out to do, even if we just touch one person, it doesn't have to be all 127 that watches us. It could just be that one that listens, takes advice, and learns something from it. And basically, we saved her life without even knowing that's what we were doing. So the good outweighs the bad. Of course, you get trolls and other things like that, and the people that want to, you know, oh, your marriage isn't this, your marriage isn't that, God isn't. But, you know, that comes with territory.
That comes with it, yeah. Right. But that's excellent.
It is. I really just hope that people really unpack themselves at the door if they're going to listen to today's episode. Like I said, I really want to address the Black LGBTQ community and what it faces really from within the Black community. And at the end of the day, I hope everybody understands that we are all Black, period. But let's unpack and leave our baggage at the door for today's episode and really take a moment to listen and learn and really just open up ourselves to this dialogue. And really with that, you know, Joe, I'm just going to ask on a real basic, because me as a straight male, I don't want to call it alphabet soup, but it gets confusing. So can you just clearly, you know, I don't want to say define, but give us what LGBTQ, what the meanings are, if you can, and how they may or may not interact with one another.
The LGBTQ is lesbian, gay, bisexual, transsexual, and queer. And there's more. It's just that as millennials, for some reason, are getting aware with themselves and they don't want labels. Like in our day, it was basically you were lesbian, gay, or a drag queen or trans. As the millennials came, they didn't want those titles. They wanted different titles because they wanted to be able to be trans and love another trans. And it just got a lot. I mean, even I shouldn't, but I make a joke of it. I'll be like LGBTQXRTUVWX. But I stopped because I really shouldn't make fun of it because everybody wants a voice in that umbrella. But when you talk about the umbrella, like everybody's individualized. Like lesbians don't really hang out with gay men, and gay men don't really hang out with trans women, and trans women don't really hang out with drag queens. So it's like, even though we're under one umbrella, we still separate ourselves amongst each other. And it's weird because like a lot of people don't realize that just being Black in itself, we are still, I guess a lot of people think that because we're gay, it's like one big happy family. And that's not true. They still discriminate against Black people. I mean, you do see, just like with straight men and women, you do see the ones or twos that will be with a Black man or be with a white woman or vice versa. But that's not the way it is for the majority of us. That's what the media wants you to believe, that we can't love each other as Black men and women. They always do that. Mm-hmm. They can't really do it with straight people because there's too many straight Black men and women that are together. But when it comes to being gay, a lot of Black people don't come out of the closet. And the ones that do are the ones that are with white people. Mm-hmm. So you see them more upfront than you do those of us that have a Black husband or those of us that have a Black wife. Like when Niecy Nash just married her wife, it was amazing to me because I'm like, yes, 2 Black women finally in the forefront. And like, that's how my whole platform started. That's how me and Tremel started, because we wanted to show that 2 Black men can love each other. It's not hard for 2 Black men to love each other, and they can do it monogamously and lovingly.
So I'm sorry, Joe, I don't mean to cut you off. So what do you say to the people who are actually having the opposite argument, saying that the LGBT community is hijacking the Black family, demasculating men, and that they are showing more of LGBT content on TV, and that you guys are actually hijacking the movement? Because I've been in these conversations and I've been in these circles where I'm hearing this a lot. So what is your response to that?
Right, and I've heard it too, but my response to Black people that say that is, well, all I did was grow up seeing straight people on TV, but that didn't turn me straight. That didn't me from being who I knew I was. And see, that's the problem that we have as a community. When we wake up and realize that nobody is going to make a choice to be this way. that we are born this way. It's so easy for Black people to accept a baby born with one arm or a baby born blind, but they refuse to believe that you could be born gay. It's like, that's just like so out of the norm to them. And like I told somebody one day, why would I want to be ridiculed? Why would I want to be laughed at? Why would I want to be made fun of? Why? That just doesn't make sense. Like, make it make sense to me why I would want that, because that's what happened. And at the end of the day, like I tell them, if I made a choice, then you tell me what day and time you sat down and decided you were going to be straight. And I'll tell you what day and time I sat down and decided to be gay. And they always go, I didn't do that. I just knew. Well, hello. It was the same thing. I just knew. I knew early on in life. I knew I was different. I can't say I knew I was gay because I didn't know what gay was. I had no clue what gay was, but I knew I was different. I knew I was a different little boy. I knew I liked femininity. I always ran to women because I loved femininity. Even as I got older, most of my friends are women because I love femininity. Do I feel that I'm mimicking for the femininity? Not really. Even though I love it, I still tend to be masculine, but I can be feminine in some of the things I do as well. But I always loved femininity. I always loved that women could put on makeup and do their hair. That doesn't mean I wanted to be a woman. It just means that I admired women. Like I know a beautiful woman when I see one. I know a woman that I always hung around the best looking women.
Thank you, Joe.
I always hung around the best looking women because, one, I loved beautiful women, and two, I knew they would always attract the best looking men.
Okay, now we got some truth. Now we got some truth in that. So, then that just makes me want to ask then. So, can you share like some of your experiences, childhood experiences and some of the things, you had to deal with coming up?
I listen to some of the things my friends tell me, and I guess I was really blessed. I was blessed in that I really didn't have like horror stories like some of them. I didn't get beat up, but I guess because I so embraced myself at a young age, and my mother and my grandmother let me be me, that I knew when to turn it on and when to turn it off. So if I was around a bunch of boys, I knew I couldn't be finger popping and I had to be a little bit more masculine, or I had to play football. And because I was always the bigger one in the group, because I was always the tall boy at the end of the line in school, and I was always big, I was, they always wanted to tackle me and stuff like that. So I didn't shy away from playing football and baseball. It's just that wasn't the first thing I wanted to do. I'd rather be standing outside playing double dutch because I grew up in the hood. So I'd rather be doing that as opposed to playing football. But I would do it. And I had my times when I was called names and called the F word and all that other stuff. It bothered me, but it still never stopped me because I never felt anything was wrong with me. And the best part of all of this is I'm the preacher's son. So I grew up in church. My grandmother was the mother of the church. So everything about me was like completely wrong.
I mean, were you this? I mean, at least I don't mean to cut you, but were you? I don't want to say what's the word, like demonized or chastised, by the church, or like was it just known that you were different, or was it accepted? Like, I mean, coming up in the church as a preacher or pastor's son had to be tough.
I was ostracized, but again, my mother and grandmother wouldn't allow anybody to directly, I guess, insult or try to intimidate me for being who I was. I've heard conversations in the background about me growing up, as a boy, from my uncles to my mother. And me and her had conversations when I got older as to why she didn't stop them, why she didn't tell them, that's my son, don't talk about him that way. And she said that she just didn't know what to say. So she just let them talk. In the end, she didn't do anything about it, which made me feel bad because I felt as my mother, she should have cursed them out and took up for me. But at the same time, she didn't try to turn around and enforce what they told her on me. So it was basically what they said in one ear, out the other, because she knew who I was without me even saying it. So when I finally did, when I was 18, tell her I was gay, she was like, well, what took you so long to tell me? And I told her, I said, because I would hear you say things about gay people. I would hear you say the F word. So how do I look like coming to you, telling you this is who I am, when I hear you downing the people that you feel are that way? That just doesn't make sense. And she was like, yeah, you're right. And I apologize if I said, there's no need to apologize. You didn't do anything wrong. It's just, that's just was normal conversation for you. I'm a person, I don't take a lot of things personal. And I think that's why I've been able to go through life the way I have, because I don't take words seriously, because I see how words hurt people, and I refuse to let words hurt me like that. So when people would try to attack me with words, I just learned how to use my words more viciously than them. So I would hurt them in the long run more than they would hurt me with words, because I just never let words bother me. And it's going to church and listening to them always tell you you're going to hell if you're gay, you're going to hell if you're gay, you're going to hell if you're gay. And then another preacher's son is filling you up, or one of the men in the church is doing things that you really should be telling your mother about, but you're not because you're scared. It's like, well, if I'm going to hell, all y'all going to hell.
Right. And that's what I mean about the Black community, right? We're very complex in that sense, right? Because then on one hand, we do, and especially back then, you know, we had this view of men and masculinity and what it really meant to be this way or that way. But then you had multiple men that were in the closet and that were molesters and in the church molesting little girls and boys. And yet we did not see victimhood in people of the LGBT community. We didn't see victimhood in them. We didn't say, you know, oh my goodness, you shouldn't be, you know, molesting a little boy. You know, it was always that boy is the F word. You know, so it wasn't a lot of, in our generation, in our community, especially Joe, because you're from Brooklyn, you're from the hood, Marcy Projects, you know what I'm saying? One of the roughest neighborhoods in the world. And you came out of that, you know, experiencing all of that, because you have the experience of the hood, you have the experience of the church, you know, it just, what played in your psyche to make you forge through all of that negativity coming from everywhere?
It's going to sound crazy, but I knew who I was. And that's what I always tell people, and they don't understand. I said, I knew who I was. And in knowing who I was, I refused to let anybody make me feel any kind of way about it. And I know a lot of people can't do that. A lot of people aren't that strong. But I always knew who I was as a person. And I knew that there was nothing wrong with me. I knew that I was exactly who God made me to be. And I never let anybody sway me from that. Like, never. Like, I didn't care what people said about me. I didn't care what people thought about me. I didn't care when it came to my sexuality. Now, if you made fun of my clothes and stuff like that, yeah, I ran home and cried. But when it came to my sexuality, I was so grounded in knowing who I was and feeling so convicted as to there's nothing wrong with me that, you know, people will call me things and I'll be like, yeah, okay, I am, so what? And, or, yeah, I might be this, but you're that. And most of the people that were saying these things about me behind closed doors was feeling me up or wanted me to feel them up or playing with me behind closed doors. So it was like, in my mind, okay, you doing this for show. I done seen you naked. And this is at 11, 12, 13.
Wow.
It was like, I knew they were putting on a show for other people, but meanwhile, in the back end, when they had me by myself, it was a whole nother story. So I just forged it as, you know, this is who they want to be in front of people, but then they want to be a certain way with me by myself, because everybody can't live in their truth like me.
Okay.
Even say that I lived in my truth, because that would be a lie. Because even then, I still didn't quote unquote know what gay was. I didn't really know what gay was until maybe I was 15, 16. Then I realized gay was a boy liking other boys, but I really didn't know what gay was. I just knew that I liked boys. And when puberty kicked in, it was worse. I was like, oh my God. And I love the roughnecks. I love the thugs. I didn't want no little blue collar. I wanted me a hardcore gun-toting thug. And that's what I feel about the hood.
Well, that's kind of ironic, because the gun-toting, the thug, they would never be gay or be with a gay man.
Well,
so
that's the masculinity of it, right? You know, there's no way in hell.
You're
Like,
so hard, and you're the ones who speak the loudest about, you know, gay males. Especially back then, they were very vocal about it. So it's just strange that you even had relationship with these so-called thugs or gun-toting drug dealers that really was in the closet, basically.
Well, what I try to make people understand is it's not strange when they locked up and I'm in jail with them, and they not gonna go to their homeboy and get off, or when they locked up for a year or 2 years, and here I come bouncing past, and they like, I'm looking all pretty, and they like, well, wait a minute now. I could get him on the corner. See, a lot of people think they only gonna do it in jail, but then when they get out of jail, they done started something that they can't stop. So now they want to have you, Lisa, and they want to have me on the side. But see, with me, they gotta test me to make sure I ain't gonna run my mouth and to make sure I'm not gonna tell. And that just leads into another thing with trans women, because that's why so many Black trans women are being killed, because they're learning it in jail and they're coming out. And then they're scared. The majority of them know that these trans women are trans. I mean, it's 2021. There's not, out of 20 trans women, maybe 2 of them are still playing the game that don't nobody know. But the majority of them are telling people up front, this is who I am. And they get scared that she's going to tell. So they kill her. Wow. And that's another thing. With like the whole Black Lives Movement. There was last year over 323 Black trans women killed. Their lives matter too, because at the end of the day, they're Black first. They're Black. And even if you want to take it a step further, and I don't want my LGBTQ family to get mad at me when I say this, but I'm saying this for the straight people that believe this. At the end of the day, if you want to say they're men, that was 326 Black men that was killed last year. And nobody did a thing. A lot of Black people don't even know that happened. They don't know, because nobody marched, nobody went up in arms, nobody said anything. And I even say that when it's us. If Ray Ray kills Boo Boo, we should still be up in arms as if a cop killed us, because it's still a Black man dying. And we don't do that. And then when it's gay men, is, oh, well, that's God's judgment for them. If they wasn't gay, they wouldn't have been dead. And you sit there like, but as long as I'm walking down the street with you like this, it's all good. But when something happens to me and you find out I'm gay, everything shuts down. Nobody's marching. Nobody got nothing to say, because I probably did something to lead me to get killed.
Wow.
And that's so sad.
You know what? I'm going to. I can't apologize for everybody. I can only apologize for myself. I'm glad that you said that, because as a straight male, a lot of what you just said is very true. That is the mindset. And I really have to sit now and reflect on myself. And I really need to do some inner work on how I can be better with the LGBTQ community moving forward. Because until you said that, that was the furthest thing from my mind when it came to situations as such. So thank you for opening my eyes and giving me something new, a new view to look at. And I hope other straight men will do the same.
And it requires, and I too get mad at some of my LGBTQ counterparts because they don't want to have this conversation because they feel like you should know. I feel that. I feel that you only know what you know.
Right.
And I can't hold you accountable for what you really don't know. Now, if we have this conversation and going forward, you stay the same, then
right.
I'll be mad at you if I want to be, right. Because I tried to give you information and educate you on a subject that you didn't know about. But when a lot of people don't know, or, they'll say, oh, they're stupid. I'm like, if a person is ignorant to a situation, that doesn't mean they're stupid. That just means they're ignorant to a situation. And a lot of us don't want to have this conversation. We just want to throw y'all into something and say, well, fix it, do it. This is what we said. And it don't work that way.
You hit it on the head. I scream ignorance all day long because it never really affected me in that manner of what you just said. I'm looking tunnel vision. I'm looking one way only.
Right. And
is it because, let me interject really quickly, is it because the stigma in the Black community that Black straight men just don't interact with gay men because of the stigma of being gay? Is it that you just never really encountered any gay men because that's not the circles you run in, or maybe gay men that you knew of?
I'll be honest with you, Lise. It's just, so our community, and for me, we're kind of old school. Boy, you don't cry. You don't shed no tear, no pain, no things like that. Now, I have family that's gay. I have cousins that I love, like cook food, that are gay. But there's always been a thing for me in my household, in my upbringing, that's what you do. Keep that to yourself, right? I'm going to love you, but I'm going to love you from over here. But outside of that, I really never sat down like I'm doing right now today, having a conversation, because we're at a point now where the world is evolving, and I do have to look at other Black men, even though they're gay or whatever it may be. We all are, if we're trying to be united as one and move as a community, I have to tear down my ignorance, because part of it is kind of willful ignorance, because that's how I was raised, and I accepted that as the norm. But that's not really the norm, right? And if I'm going to sit here on a podcast and talk about changing the community, educating the community, this conversation has to happen so that I can understand and embrace what's going on out there in the LGBTQ community. And what can Damon do? Because it starts with Damon first. How do I change my views? What can I do to be an assistant or assistance of the community? Now, we can still disagree on certain things, because I do find now some of my beliefs, my upbringing may not align with it, but it doesn't mean that it's wrong or it's bad. We can still have conversations, and we can acknowledge and agree that this is how we're going to move forward. But I need to be educated. I need to be open to hear what's going on for me to be able to be a voice. I want to be a voice for the LGBTQ community, just like I want them to be a voice for the straight Black male, and understand we're trying to rid this toxic mentality.
Yeah,
we're promoting.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Really the gist of it for me. Now, it may be different for Joe, but I hear, like I said, just those two things that he talking on. I'm sitting here in my head like, shit, I never ever even looked at it that way, because again, as a straight male, we only look at this tunnel. There's nothing else going outside this tunnel. So I appreciate him, really doing that. And I hope we can break down these walls.
And Lisa, I can't let you just put it on the straight Black man, because even though Black women embrace gay men, a lot of them use us as accessories. like a Birkin bag, or as long as we're doing their makeup and picking out their clothes and doing their hair, it's all good. But then the minute we don't move the way they want us to move, we every kind of F word or don't let a man that they like decide he like one of us, because then it becomes a problem and she want to expose the man to everybody because I done sat there and said, oh, look, your boyfriend is kicking it with me. He gave me his phone number. Now she mad. So now she don't want to talk to me. She want to expose him. So Black women are just as bad as Black men because they use us as an accessory. And a lot of them, you've never done this to me, but I've had some quote unquote friends that I don't deal with anymore. When we walked in the room, oh, this is my gay friend Joe, everybody. Why do no, I'm Joe. I'm your friend Joe. I don't have to be your gay friend Joe. Like, who does that? You don't bring Damon in the room and say, this is my straight friend Damon, everybody. Right. No. When it comes to Black gay men, it's like they want to put us on parade so that as soon as we walk through the door, now here's the chatter, here's the shit chatter, and everybody got something to say. And even even if nobody does that, when a gay man walks in the room or a lesbian walks in the room and she looks manly, ooh, is she lesbian? Ooh, is he gay? Like, big deal. Unless you want to date us, why does it matter? We're people. And treat us as such. Like, why do I have to lead with my sexuality for people? You don't lead that way with your sexuality. Straight people don't have to lead with their sexuality. It's just, this is Lisa, nice to meet you. But when it comes to me, it's, this is Gay Joe. Nice to meet you, Gay Joe. And it makes you feel some kind of way. So it makes you not really want to go in straight settings and stick to gay settings, because at least there, I'm Joe. This is Joe. But when you go to straight settings, this is Gay Joe. And even if somebody doesn't introduce you that way, you feel that way because of all the looks and the stares, because of course, you standing out from all the men in there because you're done. And you look nice and glossy and the straight men look dry. And it's like, you know me and Omar, when we walk in the room, the whole room is lit with cologne. And both of us are standing there took up magazines. Well, and it's like,
Omar is my best friend. Just to clarify and give a little background, Omar is my best friend. We've been friends since high school, since like grade 9. And Joe and Omar are best friends. So this is how the dynamic works. And he is correct. You can smell them before you can see them. They hurt me. But I just find it, I think that people introduce you as gay because they're given a warning in the room, right? So it's almost like a warning, like, okay, here's, Joe, my gay friend, or here's Gay Joe, or however they say that. And I just never understood that, because I guess I just love people for who they are. And what you are. So you being gay, Omar being gay, that never transcended to me, because I knew that when I was with you, I was protected as a woman. I always felt protected and I always felt respected. So I had no need to, and you've been to plenty of my family functions and all of that. And why would I say this is Gay Joe? That doesn't make sense to me, but I get it.
I think not to say I understand it, but so because of the perception, and because I know I don't want to say there was a time, but I know if you don't preface it for some people, it's really a warning, not only for you, but for that person, because people kind of run off at the mouth and will say things. Oh, and especially in our community, the Black community, you know how men, that gay, or the sissy, or the F word, you know what I'm saying, is used. And I think that's really a way sometimes, because somebody may know in the room that there's somebody who has made comments like that before. So that's like a warning for that person.
That actually happened to me and my husband. We had won a free trip to the Poconos. Mm-hmm. So we went, and we were eating. We went out to dinner, and everybody was cool. It was just this one waiter that was cleaning up the tables, and what do you call a gay rabbit? Gay, 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 gay. So my husband is just getting pissed, and I'm like, don't worry about it. I got this. I said, because when I get up and he see how big I am, he at the end of the day, a man is going to be a man. Right. I said, if he think as big as I am, that I'm going to run scared of him, because he was only like 5'3", 5'4". At least I know I'm big. Mm-hmm. I'm like 6'3", 280 pounds. So when I stood up, I said, well, you got something to say about a gay rabbit? No, I was talking to a friend. Yeah, I thought so. Mm. And that's what makes me mad. Like, if you can punk me, then you want to do that as a Black person. But when I won't let you do that, now all of a sudden it's no, we don't have a problem. But we do have a problem, because I shouldn't have to come out of my element like that. I mean, at least I'm from the hood. I'm not going to... Come on now. I'm going to fight. It's just what I'm used to. I don't act like that on a daily basis, because I'm stuck up in as bougie as they come. Mm. But when I have to, I'm going to resort back to Marcy Projects. I am. And I'm not going to, it's going to be no holds barred, and one of us ain't going to make it out of there right, and it ain't going to be me. and I don't want to be that way. Even like when I got married, it should have been a happy thing. And I was kind of scared, because my husband was just, oh, we're married. This is my husband. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, in my mind, why you got to tell everybody? Why you got to tell everybody? But then I calmed down, because I'm like, if we was a man and a woman, and he was my wife or I was his wife, and he wanted to tell everybody he got married, it would not be a problem. So why can't he do this? And, people know that we're married. People know, and it really was a different reception. Like, when people saw we were married, it was a whole nother, it was, and again, Black people, they, but not all, and I'm not going to say all, because a lot of them was like, really, you're married? They was like shocked, like they had never met two gay men that were married. And that's why we didn't really have a real big wedding, because I told him I wanted it just to be small, because I didn't know who was there, who really loved us versus who just wanted to be there to see two men get married and run off with pictures and say, oh, look, I was at a gay wedding. Right. My wedding wasn't going to be a spectacle for people. And I know a lot of Black men that got married to each other and did the same thing for the same reasons, because they didn't want a spectacle of their wedding and people taking pictures and, oh, look, I was at a gay wedding. Because you don't do that to straight people. You go, oh, look, I was at a wedding. Didn't she look good, or didn't they look good? With us, it would have been, oh, look, I was at a gay wedding. And I didn't want that, because that's not what my wedding day was about.
Well, we getting deep into it, ain't we?
Yeah, hey, man. I got reflections to do when this is over, but yeah, we getting into it.
Okay, well, Joe, thank you for your candor. So I know that your mom was accepting to you, your grandma, and you found out later that your dad as well, So what is it, what has your interaction been with like straight men? Like, what has that been like, being around straight men?
A lot of straight men don't have a problem with me. The ones that are comfortable in their sexuality never have a problem with me. Never. They never have a problem with me. I mean, to the point of where I can sit and flirt with them, and women get mad. You gonna let him say that to you? And like, there's nothing, they're not thinking nothing of it. That's Joe, that's who he is. And they know Joe will never cross a line with me, because that, I have that respect for them. Or they'll come in the room and I'm like, oh, you looking like a snack today. And it's no different than if you said it to them. In actuality, it's just coming from me. But would I do that with every straight man? No. I know the ones that I'm cool with that I can do that with, versus the ones that are uptight, that give me looks. that'll just, hey, how you doing? Because they want to just not be seen as that guy. But I know that they're not comfortable in their sexuality. And people always say, well, why do you say that? I'm like, because it's a difference. When a man is comfortable in his sexuality, nothing can sway him. I don't care what I say, what I do. Nothing is going to sway him. It's always the ones that scream gay the loudest that are the ones that were left in a room with me by themselves. They ain't coming out right. They're coming out right. Because it's something about me that they want to, or it don't have to be me. It could be another gay man that they know that, you know, I'm just like, you can't hate something in somebody so much to where you want to hurt them for no reason.
Right. That's the part that I don't get. Like, you
Right.
don't even know this person. And what does their sexuality have to do with
Right.
you wanting to beat them up or, you know, hurt them or even hurt them with words? I mean, and just not even accept a human being. You, whatever your religious belief is, whatever you believe, that's your cross to bear. Has nothing to do with me.
Right. And the biggest part that you get over is if women don't want you, what make you think a gay man wants you? All gay men, every gay man on the planet want them. And I'm like, dude, how many women are beating down the door to your house? Like, I don't see that many women trying to go out with you. So what make you think a gay man want to go out with you? Like, they just have this mindset that all gay men want them, and that's not true. We have a type. We have, just like anybody else, we have a type. Maybe you are my type, but at the end of the day, I'm going to respect you as a straight man. Now, are all gay men like that? No, because a lot of people sit back and go, I see something in his eyes, and I know if I keep trying, I can get him. And when they get punched in the face, they deserve what they get, because you can't just assume. And see, I'm not against that. I think if a gay man does try to pressure a straight man into being with him, if the straight man punches him in the face, then he got what he deserved. It's no different than if a man is pushing up on a woman and she do something to him. It's no different. So, I mean, 9 times out of 10, she might punch him in the face, but you know, I'm not a one-sided person. I'm in agreement with all of that, and I think toxic masculinity plays a big part in that, because I told somebody, you know, we are the only race of men that can only be thugs. Like, that's the only acceptable thing for Black men, is to be thugs. We can't be a nerd. We can't be a smart boy. We can't be nothing else. Nothing. Right. We can't be like Nemo. We can't, everything that white boys, Chinese boys, and Hispanic boys can be, we can't be that. We can only be thugs. And if we're not a thug, that's when we get called the F word. That's when we get called names. That, oh, you too smart. Oh, I'm gonna break your glasses. Oh, you a nerd. Oh, you know, the only thing to be as Black men is a thug. And that all comes from the toxic masculinity. And when it stops, I think a lot of Black men will be able to move in society better, because they won't be under that. They have to be hard. They have to, you know, and like I tell my friends, I'm like, you want a man to understand you. You want him to hold you and comfort you and understand when you cry. I said, but when he's a little boy, you told him all that don't matter.
Right.
He needs to push all of that to the side. But now that he's grown, he's supposed to go back to his childhood, pull all of that back now, because he's grown, and give it to you. It don't work that way.
True. No, well, he's speaking facts. Because I mean, like I said, I know from my own upbringing, you know, as being raised by a single parent, boy, you don't cry. Boy, it ain't broke. It ain't bleeding. It don't hurt. So it does make it difficult, even in a straight relationship. You know, early on in my own, I did not know how to be compassionate. I did not know or have the skill set on showing compassion just to my wife, you know, and things like that. And it does lead into, like what he's saying, you know, not that I felt that a gay guy wanted me, but it was uncomfortable to understand why a guy would feel comfortable acting feminine, if that makes it. Coming from the upbringing that I had, that did not compute to me. You know, and like you said, to have a guy that's 6'2" or 6'3", I've been places where I've seen a guy 6'4" break down and start crying in front of a guy that was my size, you know, at 5'10", and you know, he's all over him, you know, blowing. I'm like, yo, in my mind, what the fuck is going on? Maybe.
But now I'm gonna go back to what Lisa said earlier. Like you said, being feminine. But don't forget, me coming up watching TV, that's the only example of gay that I. So now, when you can see the Jussie Smolletts and more masculine men on TV that look like me, you kids that are like me, an opportunity to not bypass all that femininity. Because seeing it growing up and you see that's gay, then in your mind, that's how you have to be. That's what gay is. Gay is finger popping, gay is acting like a girl, and oh, this thing, and oh, girl, this, but that's not what gay is. But that's all we saw on TV back then.
Right.
Now you get a combination of both. You get a combination of that, and you get a combination of more masculine men. Like when you watch Pose, you see men that are thugs, you see men that are feminine, you see men that are in between, which is a realistic gay situation. But back in my day, because I was born in the 70s, that's not what was on TV.
Right.
So that's what I thought I had to be being gay. And like people, it's not gonna turn kids gay. It's going to show them that if they are gay, they don't have to be the finger poppers. They don't have to be the Miss Things and oh girl is, because that's not what gay is about. And people just, when I hear that, and I'm like, well, how come I didn't turn straight? Because that's all that was on TV when I was growing up. There was no real gay characters, but maybe once or twice.
Or the flamboyant,
right.
The flamboyant ones, like you saying, the ones that with the finger popping, over exaggerated, should I say?
That really leads though to the question. My question that I really want to ask and educate me then. You know, with the flamboyancy and all that, educate me and our listeners. You know, why does it come across sometimes that, you know, in the gay community, like appearance just really means so much, you know, to that community or the entire community as a whole? Like, why is that?
Because it does.
Okay.
It's the lifestyle.
I mean, I'm just like, because I you know, as a straight male, you know, I like, you know, I think I'm a decent looking guy and I do like to look a certain way, but sometimes it seems like that's maybe more so important in the gay community.
It is, because we want to look a certain way, because we want to, like, most of the time women will say, why is it that all gay men are so cute? Why is it that all gay men are so handsome? And y'all know how to dress, and y'all know how to this. And we have a joke amongst ourselves that everything we do 5 years ago, now straight men will come up and act like they just had this idea to do it. And now we already did that 5 years ago, and now y'all doing it thinking like it's something new. And we laugh because we like, we did that 5 years ago.
But it's the culture, right? It's just the culture, right?
Because before Tupac, I was walking around with my nose pierced when I was 18, and I had my hair blonde, and he comes along and do it. And I'm like, you know, I had to ask people, I said, okay, so how come I'm the F word, but Cisco and Tupac, they not the F word? They blind, they nose rings, but it's okay because they're celebrities. Because if I do it, I'm the F word. I can walk down the street and I'm the F word, but if Cisco walk down the street, y'all gonna be all throwing your panties at him like he's so straight. Like that don't make sense to me. It just don't. And it's like, for us, me in the gay community is like a no-no. Me being fat, and the only thing that got me over was that I was cute.
Who said you was cute, though? That's the point, though. We're not talking about self-evaluation. Because who said you was cute?
That was
you
the
are,
only
though, but I mean, I'm just saying.
I had friends that I hung with, and it was like horrible for them. And it's, I went through the whole, I want to starve myself and go on a diet, and I did. And I saw the difference in the reception I got versus being 300 pounds versus being 230 pounds. And, it gave me more confidence than I had previously to know that no matter what I look like on the outside, I'm still the same person on the inside. But it's I don't know what happened in the last couple of years, but now thick is in the gay community. I don't know what happened.
Thick is in everywhere.
But straight people, I always said that straight men never had a problem with big girls ever.
Never ever.
No, I don't have.
They a big boy.
Okay, Lisa.
20 pounds soaking wet. They wasn't messing with you, or they only mess with you at 2:00 in the morning when they couldn't get another date, and it was never called. It was like the last resort,
right?
Because it was unthought of to be with a fat boy. So lesbians were never like that. We always laugh and say a lesbian will meet on Monday, be together by Tuesday, move in by Wednesday, and stay together for 35 years. Monday, by Tuesday, it becomes a little iffy. By Wednesday, when you ask me who's Tyrone, I'm going to look at you and go, Tyrone who? That's how we operate. But I try to tell people men are always going to be men. I don't care if we gay or straight. That's how men operate. A woman knows when she got something good and she's not going to just look for the next best thing. Men always are looking for the next best thing. They always, what they have is good, but I might be able to get something better. Or
Conquest.
It's conquest. Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
Whether they're gay or straight. So, like, I've had people tell me, oh, why are gay men so promiscuous? I said, why are straight men so promiscuous? What's the difference?
Yeah.
It's the same.
But I guess it's just looked at a little differently on your side because being a Black man and how many women you get or you conquer, it's like a little badge or whatever.
Yeah.
And I guess on the gay man side, it's just like Dame said earlier, they just can't fathom the sexuality of it all. But it's a willful bias because most men, they want to see two women or have two women together and all of this. That's gay too. You know what I'm saying? So,
but that's more acceptable. That makes us feel comfortable.
Yeah. So, and leading into my next question is, so the bisexuality in the Black community, is there a little more than we realize? How many people really acknowledge their bisexuality and people that just stay in the closet and play on the side?
It's rampant. First of all, especially with women, rampant. Like women don't have a problem with licking each other's box, honey. They ain't got a problem with playing each other's box. They ain't got a problem. I had found out some women, and I'm like, what? Like I was in a state of shock when they told me. Women have completely blew my mind. I was like, y'all are worse than the men. Y'all just don't I know plenty of women that have shocked me when they told me that, and they're Black women. And when it comes to Black men, it's more taboo. One thing that a lot of people will be shocked of is married men are always bottoms. Always. And it's like, I told a girl that, and she was like, not my husband. I said, trust me, your husband, if he's messing with a man, he's on the bottom. He's not on the top. Most married men are on the bottom. Most men that would mess with transsexual women are on the bottom. Because they have a fantasy of a woman screwing them. Well, what better than a trans woman because she's a woman, but she has a little something extra. So, when it comes
Wait, Maxwell, you have to ease this in because this is a lot for my little co-host.
Yo, look.
And a lot for the audience. But people don't. And we know that there's a lot of men that's in the closet that act straight, but they
frustrated no more because I don't expect people to understand, nor do I expect them to believe it. And you went out with me at Omar. I've taken other women out to gay clubs and like they lose their mind because I guess whatever they think they're gonna see, they see the total opposite of it. And they're like, but wait a minute. He looked like somebody I would have walked past in the street, or he looked like somebody that would have talked to me on the train. And maybe what you said is true. You see it for yourself. Like,
absolutely. And it's a scary world for women. It is a
right.
scary place for a woman because I was traumatized to an extent because I'm like, okay, this is my eyes or no. Okay, this is not. That looked like homeboy. That looked like, this is what is happening here. And then it's just, I don't know, it's scary for women because if you bisexual as a man and you want a woman and a man, you should be forthcoming to the woman to say, this is my sexuality, and let the woman decide whether they want to be in that type of relationship. Whereas then you find out years later that this person has exposed you to numerous things because he's been playing with men.
I agree with you, but I think that a lot of them think that they're going to be faithful to her, so they're not going to mess with a man. And some of them don't. Some of them won't mess with a man the whole time they're married to her until they get a divorce. But some of them can't contain themselves and they'll go sneaking off with a man, and that's when I think it's wrong. I think at any point, I always say this, is if you take away a person's option, that's when they get mad. As long as you give them an option and you say, look, this is what it is. I don't plan on doing this while I'm with you, but do understand that I have done it in my past. A lot of women ain't going to roll with that. Mm-hmm. They're not. Mm-hmm. But there are some that will. I have a friend that, well, we're not friends anymore, but he was married and his wife and him would go out and she would pick up men and tell them, you're going to come home with me and my husband, and you and my husband are going to have sex, and I'm going to sit there and watch y'all have sex. At that point, if they wanted to do it, they go home with them. If not, she scourged the club until she found a man that was willing to do it with them. So it's like, some women are open to that because they are freaky like that and they want to sit there and watch. And then you have other women that are like, no, that ain't happening.
Right. But let it be a choice. Let it be a choice. And how can we fix this? Well, how can we bridge bridges in the Black community between the LGBT and BLM and just us moving forward together?
I think that we have to stop. First, we need to get rid of all the stuff the church put in our head. All the religious stuff that they put in our head needs to be gone. Because at the end of the day, we all sin. None of us not sin. If you got a baby and you ain't married, you a sinner. Period. End of story. But they always want to point the finger at us that like we're doing something so bad and so horrible, but yet you got 5 babies and 5 baby daddies. So I don't understand why you don't think you and me both gonna bust hell wide open. I don't get it. I don't understand it. But that's how they think. But I think we need to let that part of church go and realize that people are people and we need to just treat people accordingly. And as long as a person doesn't disrespect you, there's no reason for you to disrespect them. I had somebody tell me one day, she was trying to save my soul. I'm like, save your own soul. Show me your guaranteed ticket to heaven. Show me. Because the last time I checked, you got 3 kids and one of your baby daddies is in jail from being a crackhead. So I want to know how you don't think you going to hell. But I am. I'm confused. Like, that don't fly with people no more. You can't just run up to people and tell them, oh, you're going to hell and blah, 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 blah. Y'all don't even believe that no more. But you want us to believe that because it's a way of controlling us and getting us to move the way you want us to move and do what it is you want us to do to satisfy your needs. And my thing is, okay, I become straight. You're not even my type. So now what? You made me straight for a whole nother woman. You did your job, thank you. And now some other woman to reap the benefits of you, quote unquote, making me straight. And you gonna be more mad now because that was the whole synopsis behind you trying to get me straight. I see it's a boy that I know good and well is gay. All of a sudden he went to church and now he taking pictures with this woman, and I'm like, I know you ain't trying to sit up here and act like I'm not even going to comment on these pictures. She's going to find out the hard way that her little new boyfriend or husband or whatever you are to her ain't what you claiming to be. Like, I feel sorry for gay men that go through that. But again, they just not comfortable in who they really are. So they let people convince them that what they're doing is wrong and who they are is wrong. And they bad decision.
So before we get out of here, I have to ask, because the LGBTQ community is a large community, and today we have the opportunity to talk to you as a gay man. So I want to start just there first, because like I said earlier when we opened, I do want to continue this conversation and start expanding this into a panel to include individuals from each segment. But as a gay man, and I have to ask as a straight man, like, what is one thing or one of the things that we can do to start bridging, like Lisa said earlier, bridging gaps? This conversation I think is needed, but what else do you think, what is one thing maybe you can think of that you can share with the straight community as a way to bridge a gap of conversation to keep developing this so that we can kind of get over these stereotypes?
A way to bridge a gap is for especially our Black community to see me as a Black man first. Because at the end of the day, everything else aside, I'm a Black man. I'm your brother, I'm your uncle, I'm your dad, I'm your cousin, I'm all of that. Put everything else to the side. I'm a Black man first. And when you can see me as just a Black man, then we can have a conversation. Everything, you'll be open to more, to listen to what I have to say. But if you can't see me as a Black man first, everything else I say is going to go out the window, because you're basing it on what you know about my sexuality. And you already have in your head that you don't like who I am when it comes to that. But if you see me as a Black man, you're more receptive to what I have to say, as opposed to seeing me as a gay Black man. Just see me as a Black man. Listen to what I have to say. 9 times out of 10, you're gonna respond to it, because I tell people all the time, you shun away gay men from sitting at your table and having a conversation with you, but yet you let all the pedophiles and your Uncle Bob that ran through all the girls in the family sit at the kitchen table. But when Ray Ray come, you be like, oh, he can't, he like boys, he can't come in here. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense.
Double standard.
Wow.
Right. And he's still a Black man that you put out in the cold. And I know a lot of my gay brothers, Black men, that have been thrown out in the cold. And they have had some horrible, long lives. I mean, a lot of them are successful now. A lot of them didn't last this long, to live this long, because their families put them out and they had to do what they had to do to survive.
Wow. That was very succinct. I thank you for that. And I hope a lot of our listeners who are straight, male or female, or just people of color, Black men, women, really listen to that as you closed out. I think that was really it in a nutshell for me. Stop worrying about someone's sexuality and focus on the individual. And I appreciate you for sharing that. So before we close out, Lisa, I see you smiling. Anything you want to close out with Joe before we get out of here?
I do. Of course, I'm overly excited and proud to have him on, but I think that his perspective is real, because I know Joe and I know his heart and I know who he is. I know that he's real, and I know these conversations need to be had, and I know that he speaks from his truth. And whether we like to hear it or not, or whether this community will accept or not, those days have to be moving, have to be over. Because if we're talking about getting equality for Black people, we're talking about justice for Black people, then we, Black community, need to be talking about equality for all, justice for all. So it shouldn't be just because we're almost perpetuating the oppression that was bestowed upon us, but now we're going ahead and bestowing it on a whole nother community and ostracizing them. And like he said, the trans community, they're dying at a disproportionate rate, and we are willfully being ignorant to that and turning a blind eye. So if we are going to speak about moving this community forward as one and removing these little things that divide us, because Joe's sexuality shouldn't threaten anyone, right? Agreed. Because your sexuality doesn't threaten me, his sexuality doesn't threaten you. Right. So it has nothing to do with moving the Black community forward. His sexuality does not make up who he is as a person, right? That's not a character trait or a flaw. It's just a preference, right? It's just who he is, who he decides that he wants to live in his truth, and who he sleep with. It's no different than the male whore who sleeps with everybody on the block, or the woman who sleep with everybody on the block. That doesn't define who you are as a person. His sexuality should not define him. And I think that what he said in the end was very poignant, because see me as a Black man. I'm in this. I'm in this struggle, because before he opened up his mouth, the police is just going to see that he's Black. Right. All day. You know, I think that what we're doing is good. We need healing in this community, and we need truth. We need truth. Even though Joe has been very candid about what he's saying, and maybe a little uncomfortable for some of us, you know, some of the things that he shared, but it's the truth, and we need to hear it. Uncomfortable
means that it's touching you in a place that you need to move. You need to check yourself. Sometimes it's good to shake things up and be uncomfortable. And I'm going to leave it right there at that point. But Joe, I'll be remiss if I don't allow you to take a few minutes. Please let our listeners know where we can follow you, where we can support you at, and anything that you have going on in the future.
Oh, you guys can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all under the Mcrae Kingz, and that's Kingz, and it's Mcrae. You can follow us on all our social media platforms. And like I said, we also have a podcast here on Anchor, Apple, iTunes, as well as Spotify and Google. Call them Mcrae Kingz as well. You guys should check it out. Believe me, it's not as upfront as this. But you guys like the conversation me and my husband have. You really will. We still are upfront with what we say and how we feel, and we do it in a way that sometimes you'll laugh, sometimes you'll cry, but you definitely will come away educated with something. You could definitely check us out on YouTube as well. We have a lot of things coming up on YouTube. We're actually trying to get to interview Billy Porter on our YouTube channel.
Nice. Okay.
And we're trying to also get to interview Dominique from Pose, and now she's on a new season of American Gods. Okay. So we're trying to do some big things this year. We also have a masterclass coming up for people that may want to join the masterclass. We're still working it out. We have our production company, Dare to Be Different. Our Dare to Be Different brand, it consists of me, my husband, and another YouTuber. Her YouTube channel is Blogs and Fiction. Trust me, you need to check it out, because you will, first of all, you're going to laugh, and again, you're going to get a message worth listening to. But yeah, we are everywhere. And in 2021, we trying to do big things. We wanted to do a meet and greet, but we don't know how that's going to go with the COVID situation. So we'll probably push that out to 2022. A lot of people want to actually meet us. And we kind of a big thing.
Right now. Well, go ahead. Well, I'm glad.
YouTube contenters.
Right. You know, he's a content creator, and yes. I'm glad we are able to have you join us on our show. We will continue to expand this conversation. I'll be at some point creating this and bringing this to a panel to our YouTube channel as well. But I really felt that it was important to have you on and really just introduce this discussion. It's really needed. I think it's overdue. I've been educated in the time that I've had the opportunity to sit and talk with you. I thank you for your candor. Really, thank you. And, this platform is really about educating, empowering, impacting our community with your help, the Mcrae Kingz, assistance and everything that you're doing in the community for the LGBTQ community. I hope that we continue to work together. We'll be seeing more of each other. Listeners, please stay tuned next week. We will be back with an amazing episode. Next week, we are going to be talking to Janora McDuffie, actress extraordinaire. Really great interview. You want to definitely check her out. You can follow Two Mics Up online at www.twomicsup.com. You can also follow us across our social media platforms, IG, Facebook, and Twitter at Two Mics Up. And like we always do at this time, stay safe, stay blessed. Mics out.
Mics out.